Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down how Bitcoin will return to all-time high and much further beyond. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down a comprehensive guide of exactly how and why Bitcoin will return to its all-time high, more than likely in the next 24 months, and how Bitcoin will go on from there to hit $100,000 sometime this decade. We're going to be covering a plethora of technical indicators and fundamental factors that are going into this market. I'm going to show you a step-by-step process that Bitcoin is going to go through over the next 24 months to return back to all-time high, and how Bitcoin will be able to use that momentum to blast much higher. Guys, I'm really excited for this video. I know you guys are going to get a ton of value out of it, so if you do enjoy today's video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel when you do that. And before we dive on into it, guys, I do want to mention that we've just started a sale on the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy with the introduction of new content. If you use the coupon code MARCH2020 at checkout, you're going to get $40 off on the course once again. Remember, that price has gone up, but that's okay because there is another sale running. And remember, the course price is going to be going up again because I'm recording 2 new videos for CT2A today, and more than likely 2 new videos for CT2A every single day this month so that we can get it done before the end of March. If you guys want to learn how to do technical analysis, the only place that you need to be looking is CT2A. There's 1,300 students. You can join our Discord server and ask them what they have to say about it. But without much further ado, guys, let's go ahead and dive right on into it. You know, guys, one of the really cool things about Bitcoin is that once someone learns what Bitcoin is, it's very rare that they're just going to forget what Bitcoin is. So every day that passes, there are more and more people in the world that are becoming aware of what Bitcoin and digital currency are. You see that happening through things like Squawk Box, and you see that happening through things like The Simpsons. You see that happening through Dude Perfect talking about Bitcoin, or Ellen DeGeneres talking about Bitcoin when Bitcoin was rallying to $20,000. Slowly but surely, people start to learn what a Bitcoin is. Slowly but surely, people start to get curious, and they start to maybe throw a little bit of money on a Coinbase account. Slowly but surely, adoption happens without us even doing anything. But the awesome thing is that we are doing something. Especially here on YouTube. If it weren't for YouTube, I would have no idea and probably, frankly, no real interest in what Bitcoin is or was. I got into Bitcoin through a YouTube video about Genesis mining. That was nearly 3 years ago now, and the amount of money I have invested in the cryptocurrency space has skyrocketed, and the same thing happens every single year with new money and new people entering the space. That is why the lows that you see on the Bitcoin chart gradually get higher, as you can see. You may also notice that gradually over the last 2 years, Bitcoin has been putting in lower highs, and you would be right. As you can see, we can draw a trend line right there, and hey, look at this. We can draw an uptrend right here. What does that give us? Well, guys, it gives us one of the largest pennants in the history of the cryptocurrency market, on any market, not even just Bitcoin. There has never been a pennant on Bitcoin this large, and I certainly don't think there's ever been one on an altcoin market. Guys, this is a 2-year-long bull pennant. As you guys can see, from 2015, 16, 17, 18, Bitcoin was in a major rally, and from then on, Bitcoin was making higher lows and higher highs, lower highs, and from there, we've moved into this pennant. A pennant that converges on itself in mid-August of this year, which frankly isn't that far away. It's kind of scary though, because I'm turning 20 that month. So hopefully before I turn 20, then we will have a bullish breakout of Bitcoin here. But of course, that is yet to be determined. And it's also going to have to do with all of the other fundamental factors that we're about to discuss. I did just want to show you guys this pattern. I'm going to be making a dedicated video on this here pretty soon, so watch out for that. Hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified when that goes out, and hit that post notification bell. Nevertheless, guys, when we're doing longer term analysis like this, the technical indicators are actually somewhat irrelevant, to be totally honest with you. Technical analysis, only like up to maybe 6 months is it important. Every once in a while, you'll have like a bullish breakout on the weekly chart or something will happen maybe even on the monthly chart, but normally when you're discussing on the time frame of years, it's the fundamentals that matter, not the technicals. So with that said, our journey into the future actually starts with this technical, and that's one of the last technicals we'll be discussing here. From then on, we're going to be discussing fundamentals and adoption and things like that. But I do think we're going to break bullish out of this. When that happens, it's probably going to be before August, because of course that's when that actually closes in on itself. That's when things start getting interesting, because people are not talking about this bullish pennant right now, but I promise you they will be when we get closer to this downtrend of resistance. I mentioned it in a live stream a few weeks ago. Depending on when we test this, the level of resistance is going to be somewhere between $11,000 and $11,500, more than likely somewhere in here. And when we break this, guys, the mainstream media is going to go crazy because they love a sensationalized story. As you guys will know from the news, they absolutely love their clickbait. And I do too, so I can't really blame them. Nevertheless, the first thing that's going to happen here is that Bitcoin's going to break a major level of resistance. It's either going to be this downtrend or it's going to be $14,000, the level that we rallied to earlier last year. When Bitcoin starts breaching these levels of around $11,500 and around $14,000, the mainstream media is going to start picking up on that, and they're going to start talking about it. And you're going to have all of these analysts going on Squawk Box and going on CNBC and going on every mainstream media news outlet in the world saying Bitcoin is going to be a major hedge against the recession that everybody's predicting. That is what's going to happen. And when that happens, you are going to see a lot of interest all of a sudden flow into the cryptocurrency market. We've been overdue for a recession for years now, and quite frankly, even if you disagree that a recession is coming, I don't think it's coming right now necessarily, but I do think that one is coming eventually, obviously. It's very easy to sell to the public that a recession is coming just by simply saying, look at how long it's been since the last one. That hasn't happened since the Great Depression. Very easy argument to sell to people that watch the news 5 minutes a day and call themselves financial experts. So when Bitcoin starts breaking bullish from technical factors, which we've discussed in other videos, the rest of the world is going to be paying attention. And that is very important because if you'll notice something about this time frame, this little box right here, look at where the middle of it is, the beginning of May. Do you guys remember what happens in May, right around May 12th, 2020? That would be the Bitcoin halving. Depending on how you look at the analysis, a Bitcoin halving is one of the most bullish things that can happen to the cryptocurrency market. And that halving is predicted to happen smack bang in the middle of where we think Bitcoin's going to be breaking out. And yes, guys, I know sometimes the halving results in a short-term correction, but in the long term, it does result in bullishness. So number 1 and 2. We're going to be breaking bullish, and that's going to drive retail adoption and interest in the space once again because Bitcoin has gotten above previous highs, which means we may be continuing the bull market and returning to all-time high and beyond. Yeah, I got all that. Okay, number 2. The Bitcoin halving is going to be happening sometime around the same time, and that's going to also drive interest and adoption in the space, and it's also going to help fuel the mining economy because you need to bring down the mining prices to continue making mining profitable. One of the cool things about the halving is that it drives innovation in the cryptocurrency market, but also in the computational market, in the computer making market, in the miner production market. And then, guys, of course, you know what happens after the halving comes through. After the halving comes through, guys, the stock to flow continues to predict Bitcoin rallying much higher. If you guys will notice on the chart right here, over the last 2 years, Bitcoin has been stabilizing above and below that stock to flow prediction of around $6,000 to $8,000. We've been rallying above it and then rallied very far below it, and then rallied just a little bit above it, and then rallied a little bit below it, and now we're sitting almost exactly on that stock to flow level. Well, guys, that stock to flow level is not going to be sitting at $8,000 forever because after that halving, it quickly jumps to $94,000 just a little over a year from now. So what does that mean? Well, guys, it means at least one thing. First of all, Bitcoin has been stabilizing around that level of $8,000 because of the amount of inflow of Bitcoin into the space. But when that halving comes through, then that's going to change. The stock to flow ratio is going to go down. It's going to take longer to produce the amount of Bitcoin that's in circulation right now, which is going to increase the predictive value of Bitcoin based on the stock to flow model. And if you guys aren't familiar with stock to flow, I encourage you to go watch one of our videos on it. Just type in my name and stock to flow and you'll find one of our videos and I will explain it there. In short, it's literally one of the most powerful ways of predicting the value of Bitcoin on the long-term chart that we have. And it's predicting $100,000 Bitcoin sometime in the middle of this decade, maybe even a little bit before that. But right around now, you might be asking yourself, well, Jeb, Bitcoin has been trading around $8,000 to $10,000, $15,000, something like that for the last nearly a year now. Surely that means that Bitcoin has hit the cap, and surely that means that Bitcoin can't go any higher. Surely that means that Bitcoin was overvalued at $20,000. Surely that means that Bitcoin just simply is too big of a market already, and it doesn't have any more room to grow, and we missed all the gains. We missed the boat back in 2014, and we just need to be happy with where Bitcoin is now and just trade the ups and downs and stop thinking about investing long-term. I'm so glad you said that. Let me pose something to you. What is the market capitalization of Bitcoin? Right now, it's around $160 billion. Sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? Especially to us who are trying to, if you're trying to pay rent, $160 billion, that sounds like a lot of money. But perspective is everything, my friends. Let me show you something. The New York Stock Exchange, one exchange, albeit the largest exchange in the world, but one exchange is worth $28.5 trillion as of June 30th, 2018. And it probably hasn't moved very much, and by not very much, I mean plus or minus $3 trillion, because $3 trillion isn't actually that much money when we're talking about the global economy. But $160 billion is a lot of money, right? Well, if we look at this infographic, we're going to find that Bitcoin, one block, is worth about $180 billion. The Federal Reserve is 21 blocks, and all of their assets come to over $2 trillion. That's just the U.S. Federal Reserve. The amount of gold in existence is probably somewhere around $10 trillion. Even after the major crash that we've seen relatively recently, the market capitalization of Apple, one company, albeit a very large company, but one company, is $1.2 trillion. When you start getting perspective on how large global economies are, you start to realize $160 billion is not that much money. The gross domestic product of the United States is over $20 trillion. Do you still think $160 billion is a lot of money? Because don't get me wrong, it is. But you put it into perspective and all of a sudden, it's minuscule. So is there enough money in the world for Bitcoin to go to $100,000? Is it possible for Bitcoin to go back to $20,000 and beyond? Was Bitcoin overvalued when we hit 20K? Not even close, my friends, not even close. If Bitcoin ran to $100,000, the market would be worth $1.8 trillion. That's just a little bit larger than Apple, and frankly, by the time we get to 100K, Apple probably will be worth over $2 trillion. It's probably going to be a very long time before the entire Bitcoin market is worth more than the single largest company in the world. There is plenty of room for Bitcoin to run to that level. But then the question thereafter is, will it? Just because something can become that valuable doesn't mean that it will. Well, friends, I draw your attention to Bakkt, and I will point out, Bakkt has a very small number of contracts right now, and it hasn't had very many contracts at all ever since it launched last year. This was supposed to be one of the biggest news stories of 2018, and then it was supposed to be one of the biggest news stories of 2019, and frankly, guys, even though Bakkt didn't really see a lot of fanfare when it launched, I think this is one of the biggest news stories that cryptocurrency has seen in a very long time. Why? Quite simply, Bitcoin has a few problems that need to be addressed before we will rally to those insane price targets. First of all is trust. Cryptocurrencies are only 11 years old. They've not been around for very long, so people don't see them as gold, which people have been mining gold for like 6,000 years, okay? People trust gold because gold is a fundamental element of nature. Last I checked, Bitcoin was not a fundamental element. Or maybe it was, who knows? Point is, Bitcoin has a trust issue from the majority of the people in the world. They either don't know what Bitcoin is, so they don't know, they don't have awareness, that's one of our other big problems, or if they know what it is, they don't trust it. That's where Bakkt comes in, because no matter what the trading volume of Bakkt is, the fact that the New York Stock Exchange, the one that we were just talking about, their parent company, Intercontinental Exchange, launched Bakkt. Bakkt and the New York Stock Exchange are sister exchanges. Bakkt has basically no trading volume right now, but the New York Stock Exchange has $30 trillion. You better believe that when Bitcoin rallies back up to and above 20K, everybody trading on the New York Stock Exchange is going to be advertised Bakkt, and there's going to be spillover, and more so, the fact that Intercontinental Exchange, the owners of the New York Stock Exchange, again, worth $30 trillion, created Bakkt, shows that one of the most powerful financial entities on planet Earth trusts Bitcoin. So why shouldn't you? As we see the bull market start, and as we see Bitcoin get above 14K, and as we see the mainstream media start to get interested in Bitcoin again, and as we start to see retail and institutional interest coming back into the space, and then we start seeing people that didn't necessarily trust Bitcoin realize ICE launched Bakkt right under their noses and they didn't even realize it, they start to trust Bitcoin, that stock to flow goes up because of that Bitcoin happening, which is going to drive price action to the upside anyway. And guys, later on this year, you have a perfect storm for a bull market if the technicals allow it. Guys, the problem with Bitcoin right now is not Bitcoin. The problem with Bitcoin is people shorting the market because we have lower highs on the long-term charts. People are being too short-sighted and they're saying, hey, Bitcoin's making lower lows. Look at this. This is really bearish. Bitcoin's going to zero. And the problem that people are having is that they forget that on the long-term time frames, when you're talking about 6 months, a year, 2 years, 10 years, it's not the technicals that matter. It's the fundamentals. What happens when the Cryptocurrency Act of 2020 goes through after the news is all said and done? What happens when we have formal classifications for securities and commodities and assets and all of those things? What happens after the regulatory space of Bitcoin continues to get developed and we have a better understanding of how it's going to be regulated so that there is an easier on-ramp for institutions to jump into the space? What happens when every year that passes, Bitcoin gets 1 year older and people start to say, okay, well, Bitcoin's made it this far. Bitcoin's made it this far. Bitcoin was supposed to die 11,472 times. Bitcoin's supposed to die 15,730 times. And it never did. What happens when Bitcoin grows older and wiser and more mature and more people understand what it is and more people start to get into it and more people start using it? What happens when more businesses start to adopt it? What happens when that gradual adoption continues to march forward? Because let me tell you something, guys. Something like the Cryptocurrency Act of 2020, when I got into the space just under 3 years ago, wasn't even 3 years ago, something like that, that would have been unfathomable. That would have been huge news for the cryptocurrency market. And now, nobody's even talking about it. I can't even find a news story on it from anywhere after like January 9th. And a big part of the reason for that is it's caught up in the house, but you'd think more people would be talking about with how big of a deal it is. They're not, because it's normal news now. You didn't used to see Bitcoin ATMs in every single corner store. You didn't used to see Subway accepting Bitcoin. All of these things have happened in the last 5 or 6 years. Think about what the next 5 or 6 years are to bring. As time marches on, Bitcoin gradually moves from a speculative investment to a hedge asset against the global market. And by the way, that's my final point. The global markets have been in a bull run since the decade before last. The last recession was in 2008. We have been in a bull market for over 10 years. That is not normal. In fact, that hasn't happened in a very, very long time. Whether or not you agree that a recession is coming this year or the next year, it doesn't matter. The fact is, we're well overdue for one, and eventually one is going to happen. It might not be this year, it might not be 2 years from now. Hell, it might be in the 2030s. We might have a 20-year bull market. Who knows? You know, it doesn't even matter. The point is that when that recession happens, because it will inevitably eventually happen, and I think it'll happen sooner than later, people are going to look to Bitcoin. And this is a debate that people have had in the cryptocurrency space for a long time, and I'm going to go ahead and weigh in on it. A vast majority of the rich money, the smart money, is not going to be looking at cryptocurrency to invest in this recession. What they're going to be looking at investing in is real estate. They're going to be looking at investing in cheap stocks. They're going to be looking into starting businesses because, guys, like I said in yesterday's video, those of us who manage to stick around and have money on the sidelines make a fortune when recessions come. Smart money doesn't freak out when the market crashes. Smart money gets very, very happy when the market crashes because prices are low. Do they look at Bitcoin? Honestly, a lot of them won't. I'm going to be straight up with you. I'm not a biased. I'm not a Bitcoin. Look, I am not going to just shout Bitcoin is God because I'm a cryptocurrency commentator. Most of them are not going to be looking at Bitcoin. Most of them are going to be looking at real estate. Frankly, I'm going to be looking at a lot of real estate when that recession happens. But something really cool is going to happen when that recession does come. They're going to see that Bitcoin survived. And they're going to see that Bitcoin thrived. And they're going to see that this space is indestructible and Bitcoin isn't going anywhere. No recession, no matter how bad, is going to destroy the market that we have built over the last 10 years. It's not going anywhere. There is something special about Bitcoin and digital currency and blockchain and the industry that is currently and consistently evolving right beneath our noses. And because it happens just slowly enough, we don't realize the change. But think about where Bitcoin was when you got into the space. Did you get in 2016, 17, 18, 19? When? When did you get in? Tell me in the comment section. When did you get into the cryptocurrency market? Because I guarantee you, if you've been in the market for over a year and a half, and you think back to where it was when you joined, you're going to start to realize the growth. It happens just under our noses, and there's not a whole lot of big major news stories anymore because they're all just kind of gradual. And guys, that leads me to my concluding thought. We don't need to be trying to figure out when Bitcoin is going to hit $100,000. The date is irrelevant. It's going to happen. I'm just going to say it. $100,000 Bitcoin, it will happen. It might not be, I think it's going to be within the next 24 months. Maybe it's in the next 36 months. Maybe it's in 2025. Maybe it's in 2030. Who knows? It will happen. And even if for some reason it's not Bitcoin, one of the cryptocurrencies is going to go to a $2 trillion market cap, which is about what $100,000 Bitcoin would be worth. It will happen. Cryptocurrency is the future. If you didn't already know that, then you wouldn't be watching this video this long. What we need to stop doing is sensationalizing the topic of $100,000 Bitcoin. We need to stop saying, oh my gosh, guys, this one technical predicts that Bitcoin's going to go to $100,000 on this day. And like on 12:01 in the afternoon, Bitcoin will hit 100K and it's going to be great because this one technical says it. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a YouTuber. Clickbait's great, but you know, you have to deliver. And a lot of times you just can't deliver when you say one technical. What I want you guys to know is that Bitcoin is looking fantastic right now. We're having a pullback. Don't get me wrong. We might pull back another $1,000 in the next few days. I don't know. I mean, I have a pretty good idea, and I'm going to tell you guys, and Bitcoin looks to be doing somewhat decently today. There's no short-term analysis in this video, but I want you guys keeping your eyes on the prize. You need to keep your head in the sky, because if you keep focusing on the long term, then the short term is irrelevant. Who cares? If you know where you're going, then all of a sudden, what happens today is completely irrelevant. And that's true in cryptocurrency, that's true in business, that's true in life. Keep your eyes on the prize and your head in the sky, and you're going to be just fine. And with that said, guys, I hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button. Maybe share this with someone so that they understand where Bitcoin is going. Like I said, tell me in the comment section down below, when did you get into the cryptocurrency market? Where were you? I remember exactly where I was. I remember the date. I remember the time. It was July 31st, 2017. It was about 8:30 in the afternoon. I saw a video by Crypto Nick, none other. I'm sure there will be a few of you cursing his name in the comment section. How I make $30,000 a month Genesis mining. That was that video. If any of you guys saw it, that was the video that got me in. Of course, I never really got into mining or anything, but, you know, got me interested. Who cares how it happened? Guys, before I go, I do just want to mention the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. There is a lot of work going into CT2A, and the results are showing. The videos that are up in this course are phenomenal. We're going to be trying to record 40 new course videos this month, which is going to be a crazy task. Each one of these videos takes about 2 hours for me to make and somewhere between 6 and 8 hours for Taylor to edit each and every one of them. Currently, there are, I believe, 11 videos that have been recorded, and 8 of them are up in the course. I'm about to throw the other 3 that have now been edited into the course. So if you guys are interested in that, go ahead and check out your account. There are some new videos. As you can see, I put an updated bracket next to them. Guys, there currently is a coupon code running on the course. It's March 2020. That is in the description down below. If you guys want to learn how to do everything that I just did here, all of this analysis, all of this thinking, if you guys want to understand how to analyze and read these markets, there is no better product in this market, I'm just going to say it, than the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. Join our Discord server and talk to our students, see what they have to say. I believe in our product, I believe in our business, and I believe in our customers to tell it like they see it. Guys, if you haven't already invested in your education, if you haven't already gotten yourself to a place where you are able to competently trade and invest in these markets and consistently make money, you need to invest in your education, not some random popcorn altcoin. You invest in yourself first and everything else will follow. And that's what CT2A is for. The link's in the description down below. Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed, please hit that like and subscribe button. But for now, that is going to have to do it for this video. Before I go, though, I do want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.